Hello everyone. My Axis and Allies Commanders expansion came in today, so I thought I'd take some time to walk you through what's included in the box and read some of the cards. Very excited to get this. It's got, of course, commanders for all factions in all versions of the game. Of course, that of the mainline World War II and 1914, not including Battle for the Deep and Battle for the Arctic Circle. But this is going to be a lot of fun to experiment with. I'm really looking forward to trying this out. Back of the box says, take on the role of a famous commander with abilities that shake up the tried and true way you've played for years. The standard opening moves that you've seen over and over again will soon be a thing of the past, and that will lead to a new and exciting conclusions as well. Axis and Allies Commanders introduces admirals and generals from 9 different countries, plus 2 World War I Supreme Commanders, each with 2 power-specific abilities that can be used in any version of Axis and Allies. So what comes in the box? 24 double-sided commander tiles. And they really are tiles. You'll see, they're not cards. They're nice and thick. 1 rule book. Remember, of course, you do need any version of Axis and Allies to play with it. So, here's our rule book. Nice little thing. Only the first few pages are rules. And then a lot of the book is just kind of little biographical stuff about all the commanders, which I think is really cool. Little history lessons in here, which I think is great. I'm glad they included that. So you can see it goes on great history here, with all of the commanders included in the box for each faction. And of course, credits, game designer Matt Hyra. Shout out to Matt Hyra and the awesome art. Janos Orban. The art in this, you'll see, is really spectacular. So let's go back and take a look at what's in the front. So what to do when you've played the same strategy in your favorite Axis and Allies game a couple dozen times. Why? Take up the role of famous commander. And it goes on to talk about, kind of what it said on the back of the box. Now we have anatomy of a commander tile. So you'll see there's a tile. It's General Dwight D. Eisenhower in this case. We have the commander name, their power emblem, so which faction they belong to, their portrait, of course. I'm so glad it takes up half of it. They really are beautiful. You'll see. They're the commander's power. So it actually lists out, just states out United States, and it's also has a symbol at the top left. The ability tag. Now in this game, there are every card is 2-sided. A basic ability or expert. So what did it say? 24 double-sided commander tiles. So multiply that by 2, it's 48. Really, if you take everyone that has a basic and an expert. And in this case, my understanding is not so much that basic is not as good as expert or expert is better. It's that basic is easier to comprehend as far as how to apply it to the game. An expert just takes more experience in playing Axis and Allies to apply the special rule. Again, I don't think it has anything to do with basic is not as good as expert. It's just more easily understood and comprehended when reading. Okay, then we've got the ability name, number 6, and number 7, ability text. So here we go. Choosing commander tiles. Each time you break out an Axis and Allies game, ask your fellow players if they wish to use commander tiles. If anyone at the table has not played this particular game, they recommend saving commander tiles for next time, or you could give that new player a slight edge by giving them an easy commander's basic ability. Once each player has determined which side or power they are playing, give them the corresponding commanders. Each World War II power has at least 2 to choose from, and some have as many as 4. That's a lot. Each player should choose 1 commander and which side of them to play, basic or expert, which we already discussed, for each power they control. If you have other players on your side, you can discuss abilities with each other before deciding. Keep your pick a secret from the other side until all players have chosen their commanders and which side of them to play. When everyone is ready, reveal them. Each player should read their commander's ability to the group. That sounds like a really fun way to open the game. Now back to basic and expert. Remember, what I didn't note is that if you're using one side, let's say I'm using the basic side of General Eisenhower, I can't also use the expert side in that game. You got to choose one or the other. The basic ability is easier to understand, while the expert ability sometimes requires a little bit of planning, tracking, or higher level strategy. It is not necessary for all players to use the same side of their commander, but players may agree in advance to restrict this choice to one side or the other for all players. Now this is interesting. You can use commanders to bid for sides. Experienced players can use commanders as bidding material when both players want to play the same side. Examples: I'd like to play the Allies, and I'll let you choose my commander. I'd like to play the Axis, and I won't use a German commander. All other powers on both sides will use commanders. Final example: I know we said no commanders, but I'll let the Italians use one if I can play the Allies. Note that commanders are not intended for tournament play. So this is intended for casual play, which is all I do. I'm notoriously bad amongst my friends and family at board games, even though I love them very much, but I'm very bad at playing them. That's okay. It's all about the fun. Note about commander balance. So it says some commander abilities will be better or worse than others in some games. Some may not be useful at all. So for instance, you may have a commander that may have a really great boon in naval combat, but you obviously wouldn't play that commander in a game that doesn't have naval combat or doesn't have a big focus on it. I'm trying to think. Maybe German admiral is great at naval combat, but you're playing Stalingrad, so you're not going to play him on the German side for Axis and Allies Stalingrad. I think that makes sense. Some games use a different combat system and or different dice and need an adjustment. So when I think of that, I think of Battle of the Bulge, which if I remember correctly, uses D10s, I think. And then Axis and Allies North Africa uses D8s. And I think all the cards are written basically around the standard D6 system, which most of them use, but it talks about adjusting that. And then it gives notes on each specific game, so when you're how to apply these commander rules specifically to these. So there you go. And more specific examples, and that's it. That's really the rules. So a lot of the rules are going to be on the cards. So why don't we take a look at these cards here? All right. Field Marshal Walter Model. Germany, this is the basic side, the firemen. During your non-combat move phase, your infantry gain 1 additional point of movement range. That's good for getting forces up to the front. And infantry, in the more standard versions of Axis and Allies especially, I think infantry sometimes wins the war. Now his expert side, Fortress Defense. In one combat round during each enemy power's turn, you may re-roll a number of dice for your units up to the number of adjacent territories you control. Pretty good. And just as a note, I don't have a lot of thoughts on the cards yet, just because this is early on me seeing them. I did use a couple when Gary Blevins and Doug Thorpe on Board Game Nation, I'll link their video below, when they talked about these in the initial reveal in October of last year. They were able to reveal some of the cards, and I ended up using some of what they had revealed in an Axis and Allies Stalingrad Commander's special video that I did earlier. I'll put that one in the description as well. But for most of these cards, I really haven't looked at them in depth, so I don't have thoughts on strategy yet, but I'm looking forward to playing with a lot of them and being able to share that. Maybe we'll do another video where we deep dive into thinking about strategy with these. But like I said, I'm really bad at board games, so I'm probably not the best person to learn strategy from. So, okay, we'll keep on moving. Field Marshal Erich von Manstein, Germany, basic, Lion of the East. During the first combat round of each of your attacks, you may re-roll up to 2 of your dice. Strategic Genius, expert side. When attacking or defending, for each matched set of infantry, artillery, and tank you own in the battle, each unit may be part of only 1 set per round, roll 1 additional die with an attack or defense value of 2. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, Germany, basic, resourceful. After capturing your first territory during each of your turns, choose 1 non-infantry land unit that the defender lost in that battle. Place a free German unit of that type in that territory. Now to his expert side, the Desert Fox. After each successful attack, any or all of your surviving units in that battle that have the Blitz unit characteristic may immediately use any remaining movement to move, and possibly attack again. Yeah, that one sounds real good. Grand Admiral Karl Donitz, basic side, Wolfpack. During the purchase units phase of each of your turns, if you own fewer than 3 submarines, you may purchase 1 at half the IPC cost, rounded up. And then his expert side, Kriegsmarine Supremacy. Immediately after starting unit setup, choose a sea zone that contains your sea units. Place one free battleship in that zone. Free battleship. All right, that sounds good. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, Japan, basic side. Surprise attack. During the first 2 rounds of the game, the attack value of all your units that have an attack value greater than 0 is increased by 1. Expert, diversionary tactics. When attacking in a sea battle, for each previous sea battle conducted in this turn, with 2 or more attacking sea units with attack values greater than 0, the attack value of all your such sea units is increased by 1. So you can see, expert requires a little more reading comprehension. Like I'm not good at board games, and I'm not that bright, so a little tougher for me. Okay, General Haragichi Hyakutake, Japan, basic. I apologize for my butchering of these names. Throw them back. When defending in an amphibious assault, the defense value of your infantry is increased by 1. Ooh, man, that could make even small Japanese defenses of small infantry pockets hard to defeat. That's good. Expert, sacrifice. Once on each of your turns, before rolling your attack dice, you may destroy one of your land or air units in the battle to score 1 automatic hit. All right. Thematically appropriate. Vice Admiral Chuichi Nagumo, basic, honor the fallen. For each of your battleships or carriers that is destroyed, you may place 1 free infantry in the mobilization zone to be mobilized in your next mobilized new units phase. That's really good. Protective, expert. When attacking or defending in a sea battle, you may re-roll a number of dice up to the number of friendly transports in that sea zone. Now on to the United States. General George S. Patton Jr., basic, hard driving. During the first combat round of each of your attacks, each of your tanks that you take as a casualty may fire again after the defending unit's fire step. Expert, old blood and guts. When attacking or defending, each time you take 4 or more land units as casualties in a round of combat, your land unit's attack or defense values are increased by 1 in the following combat round only. Take more hits, do more damage. I like it. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, basic, Supreme Commander. Every other turn in your purchase units phase, you may place 1 free transport of any allied power in the mobilization zone to be mobilized in that power's next mobilized new units phase. That's good for getting those logistics across the oceans running. Expert, organizational master. At the end of each of your turns, choose 2 adjacent territories that contain your units. You may redistribute your units within those territories. Ooh, that's cool. I like that. General Douglas MacArthur, basic, determined. Starting in the second round of combat, when defending, if all defending units consist of only infantry, the defense value of your infantry is increased by 1. That's good. I shall return, expert. In amphibious assaults before the second round of combat, you may repeat step 2, battleship and cruiser bombardment with the same units that bombarded initially. Man, that sounds great. I can't tell you how many times I've played Axis and Allies, done battleship and cruiser bombardment, and whiffed. So I'd love to try to roll those again. Or if you hit the first time and you hit the second time, that's a really awesome bombardment. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, basic, carrier focused. The IPC cost of your aircraft carriers is decreased by 2. Now that's good. Imagine combining that with the technology upgrade in Anniversary or Global where your naval units cost less in addition to that. You could have some pretty cheap carriers you could throw out there. That's cool. Expert, island hopping. In each of your turns, at the beginning of either the combat move or non-combat move phase, choose 1 sea zone. All of your sea units in that zone gain 1 additional point of movement range in that phase. Whew, man, combining that in global with a naval base, you could probably sail across. I think, Doug and Gary from Board Game Nation brought this up. You could maybe jump across the entire Pacific in one move from San Francisco to Tokyo, or the Atlantic from DC to Paris. That's really crazy. I'd love to try that one. All right, on to the United Kingdom. Admiral Sir Andrew Cunningham, basic, raider. When attacking in a sea battle, you may re-roll one of your dice in each combat round. Simple, effective. I like it. Expert, night fighter. When attacking in a sea battle, the first time each turn that 2 or more of your units miss, you may immediately cease the attack with no casualties inflicted on either side for that combat round. That's pretty cool. You know, the dice aren't with you. The dice gods have betrayed you right off the bat, and you say, never mind. That's cool. That's good. Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, basic, meticulous planner. During the first combat round of each of your attacks, the attack value of your artillery is increased by 1. Ooh, that's dangerous. Expert, strategic mind. When attacking, the first time each turn that 3 or more of your land units miss, you may immediately cease the attack with no casualties inflicted on either side for that combat round. That sounded like Admiral Sir Andrew Cunningham's card, but on land battles instead of sea. So I really like that one as well. All right. Lieutenant General Brian Horrocks, basic, unflappable. During each round of combat in land battles, if the number of enemy units in the battle exceeds the number of friendly units, you may re-roll one of your dice. Cool. Expert, aggressive attacker. When attacking, for each tank that rolls a 1, you may choose the resulting casualty from among the enemy land units present. Like targeted attack. That's cool. Okay, on to the Soviet Union. General of the Army, Georgy Zhukov, Soviet Union basic, scorched earth. Axis powers collect only half the usual total IPC income from captured original Soviet territories that are adjacent to original German territories, rounded up. That's cool. Expert, operational planner. During your first attack in each of your turns, you may re-roll a number of your dice each combat round up to the number of territories from which your original attacking land units entered the attacked territory. General Konstantin Rokossovsky, basic, tactical withdrawal. When defending in a land battle, immediately before the conclude combat step of each combat round, if the battle does not end, you may move one of your infantry in the battle to an adjacent friendly territory that was not combat moved into this turn. That's cool. Kind of saving forces for another day, shifting them around so they don't take the brunt of an assault that maybe you can't win. Expert, deep strike. I think this is the one I used in my special access analysis Stalingrad with commanders. I think it was Rommel's basic and Rokossovsky's expert, and the Soviets absolutely wiped the floor with the Axis in that specific game of Stalingrad. So deep strike. In each of your turns, if you win the first land battle you conduct, the surviving units may immediately combat move into an adjacent territory that has not been previously combat moved into this turn, and conduct a battle that may last only 1 round. General Vasily Chuikov, basic, the stone. When defending a territory originally controlled by the Soviet Union, you may re-roll one of your dice each combat round. Yep, simple and good. Expert, iron will. When attacking in a land battle, immediately after the defending unit's fire step in each combat round, you may destroy one of your units in the battle to score 1 additional hit. Taking hits to give hits voluntarily. Sounds very Chuikov, Stalingrad-esque. If I remember correctly, he was the commander of the 62nd Army that defended Stalingrad in real life. Okay, Italy. Marshal of Italy, Ettore Bastico. Basic, steadfast. When attacking or defending in a land battle, if all of your units in the battle are infantry, you may re-roll one of your dice each combat round. Expert, efficient. When attacking or defending in a land battle, in each combat round in which your side has a single land unit only, that unit's attack or defense value is increased by 1. Yeah, efficient. That's a really good word for it. When you're down to 1, they hit harder. Admiral Angelo Iachino. Basic. The Valiant. At the start of each round of combat, if the number of enemy sea units in a battle exceeds the number of friendly sea units, you may re-roll one of your dice. Expert. Cautious. Once per game, immediately after removing a sea unit as a casualty, you may place it in the sea zone that is adjacent to a territory with Italy in its name, and that extends furthest to the north, if that sea zone is friendly. I think the way Gary and Doug put it was basically, okay, once per game, you'll probably choose your battleship, right? Put it in the Adriatic Sea after it's destroyed, which is great. A free battleship for Italy, especially typically, unless Italy's doing really great or the Allies are really suffering, typically Italy is fairly resource poor in anniversary and in global 1940. So I think this one's really good for Italy. All right, on to Anzac. Field Marshal Sir Thomas Blamey. Basic. Jungle Fighter. When attacking or defending on an island, the attack value of your infantry is increased by 1, and their defense value is increased by 2. Holy smokes. That would mean infantry defend out of 4 on islands? Wow. That's really good. All right, Expert. Campaigner. During your turn, conduct the land battle containing the largest number of your units first. Choose from among them if there is a tie. In all subsequent land battles in that turn, the attack values of all of your land units and air units are increased by 1. All right, China. Generalissimo Chiang Kai-Shek. Basic. Strategic defense. When defending in a territory that was originally Chinese, you may re-roll a number of your dice each round up to the IPC value of that territory. So for most of them, I think that's going to be 1 die, because a lot of them are worth 1 IPC. But like Hong Kong, depends on the game, is either 2 or 3. So that for the real critical places, that could be pretty useful for China. Expert. Prolonged resistance. When defending in a land battle, before the conclude combat step of any combat round, if the battle does not end, you may move all of your units into the battle to an adjacent territory that you control and that was not combat moved into this turn. It's good. Make China harder to kill, which can really be eventually the death knell for Japan, because if they can't clear China quickly and efficiently, it gives time for the Allies to start chipping away at Japan's initial gains early in the game. So that's really cool. And France got a commander too. General Alphonse Juin. I apologize. Basic. Liberators. When attacking in a territory that was originally French, the attack value of your infantry is increased by 1. All right. Expert. Friendly ports. You may conduct amphibious assaults against territories that were originally French, as if you had transports for all of your land units, but only across a single sea zone. So I take that to be, mid to late game, 1940. France is, basically staged whatever units it has left, perhaps on the British Isles, and they're doing an amphibious assault across the English Channel to try to retake Paris or Normandy. So I think that would be pretty useful there. And we have our special 1914 cards. I'm so glad they included these. Love 1914. Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg. All Central Powers. Basic. Defend the homeland. During the turn that Central Powers units move into a hostile territory originally controlled by the Central Powers, all of those infantry and tanks are considered to have artillery support, which is really good. That boosts all their attacks in 1914. Or I can't remember if it boosts all of them or just boosts on a 1-to-1 ratio. I can't recall. It's been about a year since I played 1914, but that should be a really good card. Expert. Strategic reserves. During the turn that Central Powers units move into a territory that was already contested at the beginning of the turn, all of those moved infantry and tanks are considered to have artillery support. That's really great, because in 1914, it's similar to, let's say, D-Day or Stalingrad, right? You have pitched battles going on from territory to territory. It's not like the more mainline Axis and Allies where you just fight till the attacker retreats or you fight till someone wins. you do a round of combat and the place remains contested. So this is really great, right? If you're funneling reinforcements into a contested battle that's already ongoing, they get boosted. So I really like that. And now our Allied Supreme Commander, Ferdinand Foch. Basic, all allies. The victor of the Marne. When defending, you may reroll 1 die. Hey, doesn't get much more understandable than that. I like it. Expert, I am attacking. I think he famously said that. When Allied units move into a hostile territory, one of the moving artillery units may make a preemptive strike, as in an amphibious assault, but then may not fire again this turn. Okay, that's cool. So basically a strike that will be removed from the board before the combat begins. And so you can tell, looking at these, right? I mean, these are thick card stock. These are not flimsy cards. And like I said, the art is absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy that Renegade Game Studios released this. I'm so happy that they continue to invest in the Axis and Allies game system and the brand, what Larry Harris started in the 80s and has shepherded and fostered and kept a close eye on, especially through development of North Africa and Stalingrad, were in conjunction with Matt Hyra. It just feels like Axis and Allies has not really ever been in a better place, and I know there's still more to come. So I'm really excited for these. I'm really looking forward to playing with them. I'm for sure going to make a video. I'm not sure which version of the game I will do, but rest assured it will be fun, and we'll use some fun commanders, and we'll experiment with their abilities. And again, huge shout out regarding this awesome artwork. I want to make sure I say the illustrator's name again. Janos Orban. Awesome artwork. I think it's so beautiful. And these cards are well made. They look great. So really looking forward to playing with these. And I look forward to hearing what other people think about these cards and how they change the game for them and how they're playing with them, whether they're doing bids or a more casual kind of affair, playing solo like me, which is imperfect but still a ton of fun. So thank you so much for swinging by to watch this reveal of Axis and Allies commanders that arrived today. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.